Welcome along to Betting Weekly Live. You're with myself, Dan Roebuck, alongside me, Neil Channing. Over the course of the next half an hour, we'll be talking our way through the weekend NFL slate, plus tonight's soccer across Europe. And Neil's got some lower league plays for Saturday in England as well. Get your picks and your questions in as early as you can via the comment section on YouTube. And if you've been tailing us, any of our picks over the last few days, let us know. Post your picks and slips on X, and we will give you a shout out when we can. Now, in the run up to today's show, we were having one or two issues with Neil's internet connection. And as you can probably see, it's just a little bit iffy at the moment. Neil, how are you? Your internet's not great. Tell us where you are.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I'm in a hotel in London, and you would think, wouldn't you, that in a major capital city they'd have the internet pretty much wherever you are, but it seems not. So I'm sorry about that. Hopefully it'll be all right.
Yeah, well, let's hope we can battle our way through the next half an hour and get your thoughts on NFL and some football as well. We're going to talk NFL very shortly indeed with Neil. I will rattle through tonight's football, though plenty to get stuck into from a soccer point of view. Hull versus Sheffield United is the main game in England when it comes to the Championship tonight. These are the prices for you, with Hull City plus 215, the Tide plus 220, and Sheffield United are the favourites here at plus 108. You can see the overs and unders pretty much each are two, and both teams to score yes minus 141 and no plus 100. What you've got to remember about Sheffield United so far this season, they started the campaign -2 because of defaulted payments from the 22-23 campaign when they were last in the Championship. So on points alone, they would be in the top six in the second tier. In England, they're unbeaten so far. They beat Watford last time out, first team to beat Watford in the Championship. And Kiefer Moore up front, who was signed from Bournemouth, scored goals on loan at Ipswich last season. I think you could do worse than maybe side with Kiefer to score at any time, plus 240 when it comes to Moore to get on the score sheet tonight against Hull. When it comes to the cash so far, Bet Rivers have taken 69% on the money line and 94% of the tickets on Sheffield United. 57% of the tickets and 96% of the money have gone on unders as well. So bear that in mind. That's the big game when it comes to the Championship. We've got plenty in Europe as well coming your way this evening. We've got games in France, in Germany, and in Spain to take a look at. First up, you can see there on screen, Saint Etienne against Lille. Saint Etienne came up last season scoring just 48 goals in Ligue 1, the fewest of the top six. They've lost all 3 games so far this season and haven't scored. 2 of those 3 games have gone under. Lille have to go to Sporting midweek in the Champions League. 2 of their 3 games have gone under. I think you could play both teams to score no -105 or under at -106. They were beaten by Paris Saint-Germain last time out. In terms of the money line, 94% of the tickets on Lille. And also, even though I'm going unders, it's overs that the bettors like. 84% of the money have gone for overs. When it comes to the Bundesliga fixture tonight, now I'm going against Steve Wiss here because Steve reckons that potentially Heidenheim, who started the season really well, could be the play on the Asian handicap at plus 105. They are the league leaders in Germany. They have overachieved both in Europe and in Germany, in my opinion, so far this season. They knocked Hacken out of Europe in the Conference League. They've been a little bit lucky when it comes to XG. Surely this is the game that they get found out. Nuri Sarin, of course, now in charge of Dortmund. He plays much more front foot football than Edin Terzic, who was in charge last season. They did draw at Werder last time out, but they finished with 10 men. They've won their last 3 Bundesliga league games with a cumulative score of 11-1. So I think they may well cover that 1.5 goal handicap at even money. 90% of the money has gone on Borussia Dortmund on the money line, 85% of the tickets on overs. And just to wrap up, when it comes to the action across the continent, Real Betis against Leganés. Real Betis are -157 here. They're the short price favourites. Their only loss so far this season against Real Madrid a fortnight ago, yet to win in La Liga. But Leganés have been poor. In 3 of their 4 games, they've compiled an expected goal number of less than 1 in 2 of 4. Less than 0.2. Betis have got a massive chance to win their first La Liga game of the season. Minus 157 is pretty short, so let's play them to win to nil at plus 117. 99% of the money, 98% of the tickets have come on Real Betis, would you believe? So that's a significant support for the home side when it comes to that game tonight. That's the European football done. We got plenty of comments coming through. John Chipoman likes both teams to score yes in the Heidenheim game. Steve has come on and says, yes, he has been tempted by Heidenheim today. One or two suggesting Heidenheim could be the play. Rick Haley has been on, and Henry says, good morning, gents. Shout out to Mr. Holden for his big upset pick on Harrogate over Doncaster last night. And Ming's been on saying, loving the dojo. Neil, that's the European soccer out of the way. We are going to talk NFL, which is why you're here principally. This is week 2. What were your takeaways for week 1? I mean, just in terms of the results, I guess the Bengals losing and Dallas defeating Cleveland were the sort of headlines. But behind that, 1 or 2 numbers that you were talking to me about ahead of us coming on air. What were your takeaways and sort of betting thoughts after week 1?
It's funny because, the NFL as a league has been moving towards being a passing league, and total points in games, the average number of points scored in a game, and the lines have been moving up and up and up over the last kind of 10 years or more. Last week, the lines on the totals were much lower than the average number of points you'd expect in an NFL game, and the market was correct because it's kind of correct because actually unders, if you bet all the unders last week, you'd have cleaned up. There were, I think it was something like 5 and 8 to the 5 to the overs, 8 to the unders. So it was definitely a week of low scoring games. In terms of passing, it was 188.3 passing yards was the average for a game last week, which is about, roughly speaking, about 90 yards less than an average you'd expect in the middle of the season. And I think there is a phenomena in the early games of the season, and that is that teams are they sort of mess around. Obviously, we know the preseason, they're not real games, they're exhibition.
Now, have we lost Neil again? I wonder here. Hopefully, Neil will be back with us shortly for a little bit of NFL chat. What I can tell you, while Neil hopefully comes back, let's take a look at some of the NFL weekend spreads and totals for you. These are the Bet Rivers prices, of course, when it comes to week 2 for NFL. We've got 1 or 2 fairly notable wagers as well over the course of the last 24 hours or so that thankfully our friends at Bet Rivers have told us about. An interesting one when it comes to the Packers here. The spread you can see there, the Packers who host the Colts, is plus 205 at minus 106. Well, plus 4 at minus 143. We've seen a $40,000 wager on the Packers with that 4-point start against the Colts. And we can also reveal that when it comes to one of the other games this weekend, first up, you can see there the Chargers against the Panthers, and it's the Panthers here that have been well supported as well. Various different spread lines, of course, on the Bet Rivers website, and it's the Panthers that have been backed on the plus 7.5 line, which is minus 159, and we've had a $50,000 bet on the Panthers at plus 7.5 on the Chargers. Let's see if we can get Neil back with us. Neil, are you back with us?
Oh, so sorry, Dan. This is so annoying, isn't it? Absolute typical that we were able to speak perfectly well until we went live, and then the internet immediately went on the blink. You can guarantee I'm never staying in this hotel ever again. It's so ridiculous. Anyway, I don't know where I got to when I cut off, but I think I was saying yards. That. I went on to say that the preseason is a bit of a catch-22 because teams are in a situation where they know their exhibition games, they don't really matter, so they try and save their players in order to not get injuries. But then, of course, when it gets to week 1 and the real games, a lot of the players are not really prepared. So the teams that have sort of possibly less professional coaching who are just not as well coached. Well, they just looked like they were playing an exhibition game last week, really, and they weren't ready. And
Well, have we lost Neil again here? This is going to be a theme of today's show, unfortunately.
God, it's frustrating. Can you hear me now?
Yes, you're back
I'm
with us, Neil.
hoping
Continue.
really that they do wake up and get going. But I think well-coached teams like Eagles kind of looked okay, but some of the other teams were.
Now, has Neil gone again? Well, we've got the frozen face of Neil Channing at the moment on the show, which is a little bit frustrating. If you stay with us, he might be able to pop back and give us further thoughts. Now, the fact that we've got the split screen there means that we've lost him again, unfortunately. What I can give you is just another look at some of the prices that we've got when it comes to the NFL weekend games, and also run through some of the most wagered NFL games so far in terms of percentage this weekend. The Raiders at the Ravens have taken 15.2%. The Chargers at the Panthers, 11.2%. The Colts at the Packers, 9.2%. The Bengals at the Chiefs at 8.8% of the money. And Saints at the Cowboys also taking a significant amount of cash with us. And Neil has come back on with a familiar pose. Neil, can you hear me?
Oh, sorry, Dan. I'm just, you can't imagine. Honestly, the internet, it should be like water in hotels. It just makes my blood boil. Anyway, so I do apologize to people at home. I have no idea where I cut off, but I did think it was interesting what you were saying, that the money coming in for the Panthers there. Obviously, week 2, one of the things that you can easily fall into is the trap of recency bias and overreaction to what you've seen in week 1. I'm not saying, I wouldn't knock Steve at all, but Steve's come out and said, well, the Panthers were terrible last week. But interestingly, that's where you've seen the big bet, 50 grand on the Panthers. I think it is.
We might never know to see what you think it is. Funny as Am says, what is that, a $10 hotel? It could well be. I don't know if he's on the Sean Calvert style of hotel here. And Shakespeare says, call him on the phone. The audience doesn't need to see him. That is very true. We'll try and get him somehow. Shakespeare's been back on saying the Buffalo Bills versus Miami Dolphins game last night should have gone over the points total. Those you bet them are very fortunate. That was from Shakespeare. Usually comes in with his baseball bets, of course. Maybe that is to come. We're still trying to get Neil back with us. Let's see if we can get him back on the show. Neil, you were saying?
Where did I get to?
I don't know. I don't know what
I was just warning about the dangers of overreacting, I think. Should I try and rattle through some bets quickly before?
I think the best thing to do. Look, I know that. Yeah, I know that you've got a few bets for us today. So if we can, let's see if we can get through your bets. Neil, are you with us? You've frozen for me again. Rattle through your plays for week 2 NFL if you can still hear us. I think Neil has gone again. Well, what I can do is rattle through Neil's selections for him. These are the plays that he's going to take over the course of this weekend. First up, Saints Dallas game, which is 1 p.m. Eastern on the Sunday. And the Dallas wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb, is the focus of Neil's selection here. Wants to go over 85.5. All of his selections, incidentally, are prop bets for the weekend plays. Then he goes to the Colts Packers, which is a 1 p.m. game once again on the Sunday. And he likes the Colts quarterback here at plus 130. That's Anthony Richardson. And then the Rams Cardinals fixture, which is a slightly later start on the Sunday at 4:05 Eastern. The Rams wide receiver is his focus of attention, over 86 and a half when it comes to the line for Cooper Cook, around about minus 113. Neil is still not going to get to us, is he? Here, it's just going to be one of those frustrating shows that we're not going to be able to get him on screen, unfortunately. Neil, can you hear me at all? Hopefully trying a different type of internet connection, potentially with his phone. There's a few people have suggested here we might be able to get him. Neil is back with us. Neil, I've rattled through your picks, but you need to put a little bit of colour on the copy, I think, when it comes to your plays here. So talk us through your 3 plays for the weekend every single time. Fortunately, Neil has disappeared again. So we're unable to hear from Neil for more than about 3 or 4 seconds. He's got some NFL plays, and he's also been busy when it comes to some of the soccer as well. And he's picked out a few lower league games across the weekend in England, in League One, in League Two, and also in the National League, which is the 5th tier as well. Let's see if we can get Neil back for you here to talk about the NFL plays. Neil, NFL.
Oh gosh! Yes, CD Lamb. I don't know whether you went through them already.
I did, but
over 60.
If you can go through them with a bit more conviction and indeed knowledge.
Well, I wish I could. I don't feel I can trust this internet at all. But over 86.5 CD Lamb receiving yards. He plays for the Dallas Cowboys. They're favourites over the New Orleans Saints. Saints won easily last week in that match against Carolina. The matchup looks good for CD Lamb, and Bet Rivers had that price. I thought it was a very good price, and good number, and that was quite a strong bet for me. That would probably be my strongest bet of the week. So if I get cut off now, at least you got the best bet of the week out of me. The other ones I liked. So where are we? The Indianapolis Colts are playing at the Green Bay Packers. There isn't a price yet on Bet Rivers, but I guess the price will be about 13-10, maybe 5-4, something like that. Anthony Richardson, anytime touchdown scorer. I was amazed last week to see that in one of the games they took more bets on the first touchdown scorer than they did on the points and total, on the handicap and total combined. But I think that is the way the game is going, and I think when you're trying to bash your head in against these numbers that syndicates around the world are playing for millions, sometimes you can still get value on these anytime touchdown scorer bets. I think these are where we should be looking, and I think this is a really good bet this week. So that's a good favorite. I think that he's quite a short price to score, but I think he will score. And the other one I really liked was in the game between the LA Rams, the Arizona Cardinals. I like Cooper Kupp receiving yards. I want to be with the over again there. And Bet Rivers had a good price there again. So I'm trying to remember that. I think they were over 86.5.
Yeah, 86.5.
And I thought that was a good bet. I wouldn't be quite as strong, but I make that a good bet.
Yeah, well, we've got you loud and clear. So just the 3 bets then for people who are just coming back, because we lost a few viewers when we were flashing all over the place with our internet connections. We're getting a few back. 3 plays for the NFL this weekend, Neil.
Cooper Kupp receiving yards. We're going over 86.5. Some of these they might be a yard out or a yard either way if you get on late or whatever. But if it's a couple of yards different, I wouldn't put you off. Anthony Richardson, anytime touchdown scorer. I've seen 13-10 with other books. Bet Rivers haven't hung a price yet, but hopefully you'll get around about that price with them. The one I really like, CD Lamb, that's in the New Orleans Saints Dallas Cowboys match. He obviously plays for the Cowboys. He'd be my strongest bet of the week, over 86.5 receiving yards. It'd be about minus $1.15.
Right. Well, we've managed to get the picks out. I rattled through them. You've mentioned them twice. So hopefully people who are still with us here, and once again, the viewers are going upwards again, hopefully are going to be on this weekend.
I'm sorry.
That's all right, mate. Duncan Evans says they've been taking spacewalks 200 miles above the Earth this week. Surely Neil can find a stable Wi-Fi connection in this day and age. You would not believe it.
Unbelievable. Literally central London. It's ridiculous.
Dare we look at your
I'm never staying in this hotel
fixtures? Again. dare we look at these, Neil? Can you stick around?
Hopefully I'll get time to tell you why I like them. Yeah, for sure.
Plays in League One, League Two.
Well, let's start with the bottom one, shall we? National League.
Yeah, go on.
I'll start with the bottom one, seeing as I've got my notes in front of me for that. So it's Hartlepool against Ebbsfleet. The monkey hangers of Hartlepool. I was surprised they weren't shorter, basically. I just thought I looked at it and I thought they ought to be, possibly even odds on, really. I mean, they've had a bit of an easy run so far, but they have a very good XG in their games, about 60%. And they, then on the minus, the opposing side's XG is quite poor against them. Ebbsfleet are just, they're bottom on all kind of, analytic rankings. It just looks like a mismatch. I'm amazed that Hartlepool are odds against here. I think plus $1.15 is a really good bet.
Yeah, absolutely. Haven't won this season.
What else we got? Northampton against Wickham.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Northampton against Wickham. So these two played in the what do you call it? The
EFL Trophy,
the League Cup the other day, and yeah, you knew what I meant. No, League Cup. Yeah, we call it the League Cup. And Wickham won 2-0, but I mean they both sides didn't really play the same teams, and I think the market might have slightly overreacted to that. I don't really think there's much in it in terms of who's the better team, and obviously Northampton are at home. And we're getting roughly 2-1 Northampton, so I think I'll be with Northampton there. Wouldn't be quite such a strong bet, but I like that. And then a couple of League Two bets. So we've got Newport County against Swindon. Yeah, I mean, basically, Swindon, they've definitely got some issues, for sure. I mean, but Newport, really, I mean, they're definitely a bottom of the league team on all kind of figures, really. I think it's kind of two bad teams, but if there's one week that you can back Swindon, I think it's got to be this week. Definitely, Newport have got some injuries this week. Centre back is out. And I think that that this is going to shorten up. I think I'd want to be on Swindon at this kind of price, but possibly stronger than that is that I would like to be with Notts County to beat Bromley. Bromley are doing all right. They're not a terrible team. And they've had 3 draws and 3 wins.
Now, we may well have lost Neil again. He was getting through them. We had a good run of about 5 or 6 minutes there, didn't we? Where we pretty much rattled through the NFL again. And he was fine to go through the vast majority of the lower league games on the Saturday. But it's that familiar pose. It is head and hands for us today on the live show, unfortunately. It's not quite worked out with Neil in the hotel. I know we've had 1 or 2 comments saying name and shame the hotel. Well, we can't do that, but if you see a bad TripAdvisor review from Sensi Channing, you'll know exactly which one it was and where he was. He does look stressed, doesn't he? I can't blame him. It is very, very frustrating. So look, I think we're going to have to wrap things up now. It's a little bit of a shame. It's not the smooth show that we usually have when it comes to the Bet Rivers live show. Unfortunately, Neil is not going to be able to get back with us. What I will do is I will just once again talk you through his lower league plays here. He likes Northampton to beat Wickham. He's also a fan of Swindon to beat Newport, Notts County to beat Bromley, and the last pick, or indeed the lower league pick, the 5th tier pick, was Hartlepool to beat Ebbsfleet. Ebbsfleet without a win so far this season. They've lost 6 of their 8 games in the National League. We have got Shakespeare's baseball play, which is good to see. Baltimore Orioles over the Detroit Tigers on the money line at minus 130. I think we should start to track Shakespeare's play, certainly tail them, because they've been in really good form for us. So thanks for that, Shakespeare. Whether this one will be replayed or not, I'm not 100% certain. But Neil, look, we know it's been difficult for him. Hopefully the next time we have Neil on, we'll have a better internet connection. But that is a wrap for Betting Weekly Live for today. The live show is going to be back on Monday. I'll be with Jack Wright. Don't forget that the Premier League show and the European Soccer show are both out. Thanks, Rofo. So he says, great show as always. Well, I'm not 100% certain about that, but I like your sympathy vote there. So don't forget, we've got 2 shows out at the moment. Nigel and Jack Wright, when it comes to the Premier League, been in really good form recently, the pair, and hopefully their selections will come good. Really interesting same game parlay from Nigel in the North London derby. So make sure you watch that. And Steve Wiss and James Eastham, of course, are across all of the European football. We've got picks and plays on the Saturday and the Sunday. We've got a lean on the Monday as well across all of the major leagues in La Liga, Bundesliga, Serie A, and Ligue 1. Duncan says, as a Wickham fan, I can't be backing the Cobblers, but I take where the thinking is coming from. Appreciate that. And Courtney Gambler says Neil is a legend. Next time we have him on, we'll either have him in the studio or we'll have him with a much better connection. I'm going to wrap things up for now. Hopefully, when we're back on Monday, things will go a little bit smoother from myself and from Neil. Have a good weekend betting. Make sure you follow us on Twitter @BecauseWeWin. Give us the comments in the football shows as well. And if you are winning with that because we win, if you're tailing our cappers, let us know on X and we'll give you a shout out on Monday's show. From all of us for now, though, have a good weekend. We'll speak soon.